This is lesson 215, applying angle relationships. So we're not really learning anything new in this lesson. We are just doing a lot of practice. So we are being asked, what would x and y equal, and how do we know? Okay. So first of all, let's look at the relationship between x and y. They are both inside the parallel lines, and they are on the same side of the transversal. So these two are same side interior angles. Okay. And we know that same side interior angles are supplementary. Okay, so they should add up to 180. So x plus y should be 180. Okay. And then let's see here. What is wrong with this diagram below? Okay. If this was a triangle, okay, it's eventually going to meet and make a triangle. Angles of a triangle should add up to 180. So 80 plus 100 plus, let's call this angle x, should add up to 180. But here's the thing, when we add up the 80 and the 100, we already get 180. So if we subtract 180 from both sides, what are we left with for this poor little angle? 0 degrees. We have to ask ourselves, can an angle be 0 degrees? Okay, and the answer is no. So this is what's wrong with this picture. Two of these angles, one of those are wrong, because that would leave 0 degrees for that last angle. So an angle cannot be 0 degrees. All right, Maria is not convinced that AB and CD are parallel, so she draws the following shape here. So she is not convinced that this line and this line are parallel, okay? So why must these intersect? So any lines that are not parallel are going to intersect, okay? The measure of angle BED, we already talked about this, is 0 degrees, which is not a good thing. So what does that tell you about AB and CD? Well, if it can't be 0 degrees, then they can't meet at all, which means that these lines have to be parallel. They should never meet. Okay, lines AB and CD. Okay, so this tells us that they must be parallel. Even though she drew a bad picture, they are parallel, because you cannot have an angle with 0 degrees. So in this diagram, why must FG and HI be parallel? Well, let's see. Let's say they weren't parallel. So let's make them point towards each other. So FG and then HI. Let's make them connect. Say they aren't parallel. If this is 112 and this is 68, let's make sure that we have some degrees for this angle. 112 plus 68 is, 180 degrees. So is there any degrees left for this angle? No, there's not. This is a 0 degree angle, which is not possible. So if these were not parallel, you'd make a 0 degree angle, which is not possible. Therefore, these two lines must be parallel. So they must be parallel, because if they weren't, they would make a 0 degree angle. Which is not a good thing, okay? Basically, their angles add up to 180 already. So, using what we know, explain why the lines must be parallel, okay? So, Reminder, we're trying to make this into a triangle to test if it could intersect. So let's figure out what that angle would be. It makes a straight line with the 80, so this angle is 100. And if we added these two together, they'd be 180, which means that would be 0 degrees, and that is no good. So these have to be parallel because they're same side interior angles add up to 180. Okay. These lines, again, these make a straight line, which means this line is 100, which means if we tried to make these point towards each other and make a triangle, we would have no degrees left for this angle over here because these are 180. So these lines have to be parallel. They can never touch. All right, so using what we've learned already, we're going to find the measures of x, y, and z. All right, so let's look at this triangle first. 28 degrees, and it's an isosceles triangle, so we know that these two angles have to be the same. So let's take away those 28 degrees and see what we have left. That's 152 split between these two angles. So 152 divided by 2 is 76 degrees. So each of these angles are 76. Okay. And now, in order to find the other angles, what we could realize is that we actually have parallel lines here being cut by a transversal. It's a little hard to see, but if we zoomed in, hey, we've seen this kind of problem before. Okay, these two angles make a straight line together. Okay, so this should, Z should make 76 and Z add up to 180. So 76 plus Z should equal 180. So Z is 104. Okay. And then if we make the other side a transversal that we're looking at, okay, y and 76 are corresponding angles, which means they are the same. So y is also 76 degrees. And we found all the missing angles. Okay? So we found, let's say, we found x because it's an isosceles triangle. We found z because x and z are supplementary. They make a straight line. And then we found y because the 76-degree angle and y are corresponding angles. So they're the same. Okay. Again, I'll have you do key concepts on your own, but let's go ahead and solve some problems. Okay, they want us to find x and the angle POS. So this one as well. All right, these are vertical angles, so they're the same. So x plus 21 should be equal to 147. 147 minus 21 is 126. Okay, so then these two angles, the 147 and POS, make 180. So x plus 147 should be 180. So that is 33. These two angles are supplementary. They make a straight line together. So 30 plus 2m minus 40 should be 180. Okay, this is negative 10 plus 2m equals 180. So we're going to add 10 to both sides. 2m equals 190, which divided by 2m equals 95. Solving for x here, let's see, these two angles are alternate interior, which means they're the same. So this angle is 41 degrees. And then x and this angle make a straight line, so x plus 41 should add up to 180. And 180 minus 41 is 139. And then over here, we got a lot going on here, but alternate or same side interior angles are supplementary. So 126 plus x should be 180. So that means x is 54. Another straight line, so 54. Actually, let's do this instead. 126 and y are alternate interior angles, which means they're the same. Alternate interior angles are equal, so y is also 126. And then y and z are vertical angles, so z is 126. All right, moving on to the medium. Ooh, we got a lot going on here. Let's tackle these two angles first because they both have x's in them. Looks like they make a 90-degree angle, so they are complementary. So I'm going to add them up to 90 degrees. So 2x minus 20 is 90. 2x equals 110, so x equals 55. And then y, well, let's see here. So I notice that y and this angle make a straight line. So let's plug x back in. It's 55. So this angle is 55 plus 20, which means it's 75. So y plus 75 should add up to 180 because they're a straight line. So y equals 105. All right, these two angles add up to 90 degrees, so x over 4 plus x should be 90. What we can do here actually is multiply both sides by 4 to get rid of this fraction on bottom. So now we have x plus 4x equals 360. So 5x equals 360. And 360 divided by 5 is 72. Over here, let's see, here are the parallel lines, so it's almost like you'll want to turn this sideways. 71 and x are corresponding angles, so that means that x is 71 as well. And then here, this is vertical angles here, so that's also going to be 83. Which means 83 and this angle right here are corresponding, so that's also 83. And then 83 and y should add up to 180. So 180 minus 83 is 97. So y is 97. And then over here, let's see, we got a lot going on here. what we're gonna have to do is focus on just one transversal at a time. Okay, so I'm gonna look at this one first. So we're gonna pretend like the other transversal isn't there. So 48 and this angle down here are alternate interior angles, which are the same. So that's also 48. And then this angle, 73 plus 48, let's call this y plus y, should add up to 180. So that is going to be 59. Okay, that makes a straight line with x. So 59 plus x should be 180. So x is 121. There's a couple different ways you could have solved that one, but that's just one way. And then on to the spicy. All right, we're supposed to fill in all these angles, but we're given a little bit of information. Angle 1 is 90 degrees. Angle 2 is 34. And then angle 6 is 137. All right, so we don't have any parallel lines here. So we're not gonna be doing any like alternate interior or same side exterior, any of that, okay? 1 and 3 make a straight line. So that means 3 is also 90 degrees. 2 and 5 make a straight line. So that's gonna add up to 180. So 180 minus 34 is 146. So 5 is 146, 3 is 90. It wants to find angle 8. 8 and 6 make 180 degrees, so 137 plus, let's call that x. If we put 8, we'll get a little confused. 180 minus 137 is 43. And then they want to know angle 4. It looks like angle 5 and angle 4 are vertical angles. So angle 4 is also 146. Okay, we're going to find x and y here using the following figures. It looks like these two make a 90-degree angle, so actually I don't want to start there because then I'll have a y and an x. I would like to use these two that make a 90-degree angle. So x plus 20 plus x minus 25 equals 90. So 2x minus 5 equals 90. So that x equals 47.5. Okay, so I'm going to plug that in, 47.5 plus 20. So this angle right here is now 67.5. And I'm going to use that to find y, because now this 67.5 and this angle add up to 90. So y minus 10 plus 67.5 should equal 90 degrees. So y plus 57.5 is 90, and 90 minus 57.5 is 32.5 degrees. That is y. Okay, so x and y. All right, x and y here. Let's take a look. These are alternate interior angles. Here's the parallel lines. Here's the transversal. So x is 73. And then this angle right here makes a straight line with 73. So they should add up to 180. So that is going to be 107. Okay. And then, let's see, if we extend these parallel lines and use this as a transversal, I am noticing that these are corresponding angles. So that means that y is also 34. So x equals 73 and y equals 34. And then over here, let's see what we've got going on here. These are alternate interior angles. Here, let me use highlighter instead. These are alternate interior angles. So that means this whole thing is 75. So 75 minus the 33 part we have, it leaves us with 42. So this little guy right here is 42. This is 90 degrees. And this right here is a triangle, which should add up to 180. So 42 plus 90 degrees plus x should add up to 180, which means that x equals 48 degrees.